to this. One kick of the ball by Didier Drogba. Yeah, it's the greatest night in Chelsea's history. Champions of Europe at
last. Welcome to the Blue Stand again, everyone. Thank you so much. First of all, for our last episode that we did with James Sharp, that was it's absolutely banged and we've done really well. And thank you all the viewers that's watched that. Today we've got another special guest. It's the first time I'm actually talking. It's the first time the guys are actually talking to him as well. So we're really excited. He is one of the YouTubers in our fan base. He's an astute student of the game. The way he does his analysis, I've actually been watching a lot of his videos, probably in the lockdown period when the restart happened. Started to watch a lot more of his videos, and his analysis is simply top notch. The way he thinks deeply about the game, you guys all need to see that. So it's none other than NiiNii. How are you, my man?
Thanks, man. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, looking forward to speaking football with you guys. Of course, I always got time to have good football discussions. So thanks for having me on.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, NiiNii. Just like as usual, I've got my fellow panelists, Amir and Kunal, with me. So let's get this show rock and rolling. So first of all, NiiNii, the question I've got for you is that, it's been buzzing over the last 24 hours. It hasn't even really been 24 hours. I didn't know too much about this particular centre-back. I've heard a little bit about him thrown around over the last probably month or so. But we finally signed this particular player. His name is Xavier, or I don't know how to pronounce that, Mbuyamba, I think. Hopefully I've got that right. But there's a lot of talk about this particular player, and he's been dubbed as the next Virgil van Dijk. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts are about this particular signing, and how do you feel about it?
I think it's a signing that we expected to happen for a while now. If it wasn't for the transfer ban last year, he would have been our player in that time already. So, I think this is definitely a player that Lampard likes and Lampard's brought to the club. Based on previous quotes and comments that Mbuyamba's agents made, it seems like Lampard really is interested in his talents, and it's no surprise because if you look at his game on paper, his height, aerial ability, the speed, obviously, most importantly, that ability to play passes out from deep, passes breaking the lines, all that type of stuff as well. And, at the same time, we have to realize that he's joining an academy that also has great defenders at this club. We have a young left-footed defender called Levy Cohen. I think 6'3", 6'4", very good technically, very good on the ball. And let's not forget guys like Mark Guy, who's doing really well on loan at Swansea. So, I feel like Mbuyamba is definitely joining company that he complements, and, he's going to be with the development squads. And Lampard's going to get an opportunity to see how he's going to develop, how he adjusts to the team, etc., etc. So, a great signing to make. And, for me, it's just testament to the fact that, this philosophy we have right now to turn towards the youth, use our academy. I've been saying it for my channel for years and years and years. The inefficiency at this club was absolutely disgusting back in the day. There's no way that you can reduce an academy that wins every single thing non-stop, produces top quality players that are good enough that they get their first home moves to championship clubs and top division clubs across Europe as well. You can't create that winning formula there and then not implement that to the first team. The first team was its own thing for too long at this club because we've signed managers that were short term and had their own personal philosophies on the game. So in a sense, it was always going to be a lose-lose situation, as we saw with Mourinho, Conte and Sarri. So, for me, I've been an advocate for a long time that we had to turn towards, ourselves. We had to, promote someone, find a manager that understands what this club's about. And, Frank Lampard's proving that he's a great young manager that knows what he's doing. So it's no surprise that young players now are interested to sign for us because they know, wow, I've got an opportunity to play for one of the best clubs in the world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think in regards to sustainability, like success over a long period, I think this is a fantastic model to have where we can rely on the academy when, if there is a superstar in the academy that we can bring in, we can save the money with all the transfer fees that's, floating around with the likes of Kai Havertz and, Declan Rice and the kind of money that we sort of probably going to produce for Chilwell, it's great to have that ability to dish in on the academy and be able to pluck out a superstar. And there was, I think, look, I don't know how much to believe the Sun, but I'm quoted to say that, he started off in the under-18s and then slowly moved into the under-23s within the space of the week trial that you were talking about that he was here. So I think this is going to be really, really good for us. In terms of, I just want to quickly ask you a last question before I move on to Mia. A lot of saying that, this particular player could start for us within a year or 2 years' time. What's your thoughts? Like, do you feel like that's the kind of expectation, or should we just chill out and just let this sort of happen as it, time goes on?
I definitely think it's a case where we have to relax a bit and just let the player, acclimatize, find his footing first. Let's not forget we also have other great defenders at this club already. Yeah. So, it's not like we're signing someone that's just on a league of his own, for example. So I definitely think that with young players in particular, with how young players do develop, I think the most important thing is, what type of attributes do they have, and can they be developed to complete a player's game and make them, go to the next level. So, if Mbuyamba, if he performs on point for the development squads, potentially, who knows if he was to get Carabao Cup minutes for next season, that would be down to the player. Yeah. But I definitely think it's one of them ones where, it's very easy to say new Van Dijk. I know I said it in my video too. It's catchy. Let's keep it real. But
I did it as well in my video.
Yeah. Of course you have to, but I think maybe, we have to remember that he could. Who knows if he could potentially become that player one day, but I think right now, let him just find his, let him breathe. Let him just, find his footing.
Absolutely. Well said. Amir, off to you, my man.
Yeah, the next question, I think you mentioned earlier that we have some great defenders at the club, right? And you mentioned a lot of them, but one name was, Fikayo Tomori. And I think of late, we have been seeing some rumors that he could be sold permanently to a French side. And we probably will include a buyback clause if that does happen. But what do you think? Do you think that this is the right move for him at this time of the career? Because arguably he was our most consistent defender last season. Before I think he had a couple of injury problems, and then he couldn't make his comeback into the side. But before that, I think him and Zuma together, they were our most consistent defenders. So do you think that this could be the right move for him?
I can't imagine that we'd sell him with a buyback fee. I think maybe what's more realistic is if a good loan move came in for him, then, Tomori, his team, the manager, they can have discussions. They can speak about his development. But I think we'd have to take a great club that, a great loan club that's maybe potentially playing European football, for example. It's possibly enticing. But, Rennes, they're a team right now in France that's looking to really... pick up now, go to the next level. They've also been into lots of other great young defenders too, like the Kouassi guy that recently signed for Bayern Munich from Paris Saint-Germain. That was someone they were looking at too. And, they've got some good talents in that team as well. So I think, I don't know if that was a loan move for a season, maybe, but at the same time, ideally I'd prefer something different. But I don't know with Tomori, even though, I think his positives really stood out more than the negatives last season. I think, if we're looking at things objectively, we can't pretend that, let's say, performances where he was great in, there wasn't maybe 2 or 3 mistakes that happened in games. So I think maybe after a while, with our defensive issues and maybe passing out from the back, Lampard was thinking maybe more experience was needed. And then right after that period, he gets injured, and then the final 7-8 games with the restart, you're not going to swap your defense around for no reason. You just stick with what you have. Yeah. So I think Tomori he knew that maybe next season he'd have a chance again. But if he was to go, I think we'd have to take an exceptional loan club to persuade him.
Yeah, definitely. Well, then let's move on to Kunal then. What do you got in store for NiiNii, mate?
First of all, I think this is exactly the case when you talk about the Chelsea graduates, or any particular academy products in general, because you need to provide the minutes for young emerging graduate players, because they develop so fast. A player who is getting the right guidance and who is getting the minutes as well, is nowhere the same player at the age of 20 when compared to at the age of 18. The players, they develop so fast. But now on the theme of centre backs, it's quite a risky thing to play a new centre back, because one costly mistake from a centre back can very easily lead to a defeat. However, you can very easily or at least comparatively, you can expect a player in another position to take your chances. Centre back is a very risky place, is a risky position, to just pluck in a player or just put him there. Now, on this theme, continuing with the theme of centre backs, NiiNii, my question to you would be like, we saw the news, in the past few days, Ethan Ampadu and his desire to, make it work at Chelsea, and not even in the far future, in the immediate future. He thinks he is ready to make a difference in the next season. So, knowing about your individual expertise, in the subject of Chelsea Academy, having followed your content for the past 3 years, I mean, you would have to be the sort of guy I would want to know the thoughts about. So, what do you think are the chances of Ampadu here, Ethan Ampadu? Like, is he ready to be involved in the picture straight away, especially given the links with players such as Rice, Ben White, even Dunk, and Jimenez? Do you think he's ready for it, or do you think a loan move would suit him?
I think Ampadu, I think we can all agree that he definitely has the skill and ability to play for us. Technically, he has that. I mean, that game against Spurs, I think that impressed all of us because the level of that performance was just so high, But I think Ampadu could have an opportunity. I mean, it's my own personal theory, but, based on, things that's happening around the Rice deal and based on the fact that to fund other moves to different positions, we have to sell players first. And I feel like that could be one of the most difficult things to do right now because, clubs want to get our players for less than what we want to sell them for. And I think that that's what's really delaying things. So, based on just the history of how we don't end up getting things in our favor when it comes to selling players, I don't know. I've been thinking maybe Rice might even be a next season signing or a January signing. What if we can't get rid of certain players, we can't get the right fees for them to invest in other positions? In this case, this could be great for an Ampadu. Let's say, he stayed here just for the first half of the season. If it didn't work out, he can still get loaned out in January. So I think maybe that's what Ampadu is seeing right now. And that's why he wants to come back to the club, because he wants to work really hard, impress Frank during pre-season and take it from there, really. So I think, based on his ability, he has the potential to make something happen. He can play DM, play centre-back as well, moves the ball really well too. So, if we can't get that centre-back and, another midfielder to complement Kante or, be the backup to Kante, Ampadu could be that solution. He fills two positions up, two birds, one stone. I wouldn't be surprised if it works out like that.
Yeah, I just want to add. I just want to add. I think the key thing what you just said there, NiiNii, was that it was interesting that Ampadu wanted to stay here, and it kind of gives me the feeling that obviously these players know what's happening internally, who's coming in, who's going out. I get the feeling he understands that perhaps what you just said, that Rice might not happen this window. He may happen in the next window or the window after. And he truly feels that this could be his opportunity to, as you said, impress, knowing that Kante really doesn't have a proper replacement in the likes of how Frank plays with he started to play with the lone DM and the attacking eights. We've seen Jorginho, who, yes, he's great with the ball, but when it comes to counter-attacks, when it comes to the defensive situation, he lacks in that particular lone DM. And it may be the fact that he understands that there could be that window of opportunity to perhaps cement that position. And who knows, maybe if he impresses well, we may not go for Rice. I mean, is that sort of how you sort of see this situation as well? Like it's more like an opportunity for Ampadu to really seize the moment?
Yeah, I definitely think this could be a potential opportunity. A lot of my, reasons behind the Rice deal too comes down to West Ham. I know that West Ham, they don't want to sell him for anything. They've got other assets they could sell, like Philippe Anderson, Yarmolenko, other players of that nature, which maybe they could move on a lot easier compared to a Declan Rice. So I don't know. If we did sign Rice, it would happen like right at the end of the window. It would be like a very long saga, and it would involve so many different circumstances to fall in place for us to even be in that position in the first place. That maybe, sign him when his contract's down a bit more, and maybe then realistically, West Ham, they don't have too much money to spend right now. If they're right at the bottom of the table come January, maybe they're more willing to do business then. So I think as we've seen this window, it's always been about timing. Marina is not going to rush in to do things just for the sake of it. If she knows that we can get a better deal if we hold out and, present these offers at the right time, which we've done with Havertz now. The original 100 million that Leverkusen wanted, that's come down. As we've done with, wrapping up the signings with Ziyech very quickly, Werner as well. So, I feel optimistic, to be honest. And for Ampadu, this could be a great opportunity. And for him, he has to take it during pre-season because, Lampard's an objective guy. If he does it, he could be with his team for the start of the season.
No, perfect. Kunal?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to absolutely agree because Ethan Ampadu, he also fits the profile as a sort of a DM, in my opinion, more than a centre-back. Lampard is a smart guy, as we all know by now. And there's no way he wouldn't have seen the nature of the goals that we considered in the last year. It was very much down to the naivety. The players, the centre-backs were not that experienced or they were very prone to making individual errors. So that is why majorly the links with Thiago Silva and more experienced seasoned campaigners have been also emerging due to the very reason. So I really fear for Ethan Ampadu because in this particular environment, with the kind of centre-backs that we have, I don't think he'll have too much to learn from them, if I'm being perfectly honest. So either for me, he is employed as a DM, or if the long-term vision is to see him become a centre-back for Chelsea, I think a loan move would be beneficial for him unless and until there is someone like a Thiago to take him under his wing. I think that would be an experience of a lifetime playing alongside such a legendary player who really still is performing bits in the UCL. So yeah, I think NiiNii has summed it up pretty nicely, and that was basically whatever I was thinking in my mind as well. And yeah, so I think Miz would be the one who will conclude the meeting now. I think it has been going really great. Yeah.
The next thing that I want to add was just before we finish up is NiiNii. Obviously, the first 5 games really of the Premier League. I wanted to get what your thoughts are, and what your feelings are, and what you expect. Obviously, we've got Brighton first up. We've got Liverpool right after, West Brom, Palace, and Southampton. How do you feel about these initial, fixture list for us in the next season?
I definitely think that these games are potentially winnable. And if you get these wins at the start of the season, you get that thing that's most important, and that's the momentum to obviously continue forward and, have that extra confidence and maybe attempt things that you wouldn't normally do when you're not in great form. And I think against Brighton, I feel they're a team that, they like to play football. When they got that draw against us last season, I think our possession was very even in that game. And under Graham Potter, they're a team that looks to play out from the back. They use the width really well. They pack the midfield, and that could be a great game to really just test, how guys like your Ziyech's, Werner's, Kai's, and players like that are going to do against them. So I think that's a good team to play against. And then right after that, I'm kind of excited personally that we're playing a massive team straight away. We're not waiting like a month or two before we play a big boy like Liverpool straight away. I think I feel we'll definitely close that gap a lot more in that game. If we don't win, it could come down to things like players needing more time to just like acclimatize and gel together. You know what I mean? But I feel optimistic that we'll do something there. And then West Brom, Palace, and Southampton. These are teams that are normally bottom half of the table. So last season we got good results against them. West Brom, a newly promoted team. I feel like the first 5 games, I don't know. Who knows? Potentially that could be 15 points, or maybe more realistically, maybe 12 points. So it's definitely
15 points.
I feel honestly, I feel optimistic. I think when you just look at our games over the course of last season, I felt like we were the better footballing team most times, but it was just the lack of execution and quality. And looking at a team like I think obviously
every game 5-4,
man. And I think obviously seeing Bayern Munich, this is like a team where they are in their prime right now. All their players are in like their late 30s, late 20s. These are guys that have been playing for over 10 years. They know what this business is about. And you can just see like the possibility of what your football could look like once you get to that certain level. And I think right now we're building those foundations. We're looking to fill up areas that we don't have the quality for right now. And I think we're definitely on target to, become that, a club that plays football like that. I mean, I looked at the Bayern game, every game in the Champions League, they can split teams open like 3-4 passes. It's absolutely ridiculous. The speed in which and that's things that we've been trying to do this season, as we see with our football, but it's the execution at times. But, for me, when you're adding Hakim Ziyech, I mean, a guy's a genius on the ball. His left foot, for me, is one of the best. I've been a big fan of him for years. When you're adding Kai Havertz as well, who is like, he has the potential to become a complete attacking player. I mean, 6'2", amazing in the air. Timing of his runs inside the box, the weight of the passes he plays to, I mean, that's just adding more creativity to that attack. And then on top of that, you've got maybe Werner, who's out wide. His finishing ability, the way he just blasts the ball in the back of the net, very clinical too. He gets the ball out his feet very quickly to take his shots first time. Yeah. Adding these types of components, this type of individual quality, that's only going to improve how you do everything when you're playing. So when you mix signings like this on top of like the great youth talent academy grads we've seen this season, I mean, people, for me, I think they've been a bit too harsh on Twitter, and that's one of the reasons too why I'm not like, as we were talking about before, I'm not like on Twitter as much anymore. I just think to myself, these guys have proven how good they are. I mean, they came from the Championship last season, and they were the reason why we got a top 4 finish. I mean, when have you ever seen a club that's introduced so many players from their academy that can get them straight into a European sport straight away? I mean, if that doesn't prove like the potential they have, then I don't know what will, to be honest.
I think people don't understand this. Like, I'm so glad you brought this up, how deep this is, that we've had so many academy players play for us and we've still come fourth. Actually, equal third, to be honest.
Yeah, equal third.
Just missed out by goal difference. Equal third, to be honest. In the top 4 for a very, very long period of the whole season. So it wasn't as if out of it, we were in. People forget the fact that how important, this particular achievement has been from these particular academy players, because without them, without the contribution from Tammy Abraham, Reece James, Tomori in that part where Amir was talking about, I mean, we really would have been right. So just before, I think my mate Amir has one last question to ask you, but ask you, are you going to be happy next season that, with, obviously you've harped on about the attacking flair that we have, are you going to be happy if we end up winning, 5-3 and 6-4s, and or do you want to see some defensive resolution as well?
You know what? I think this is definitely an area that I've been, I feel like I do want to do a video on this before the season starts, but I want to talk about defense, because I feel like, for me, we like to focus more on the centre-backs, but I think it's about how the team defends as a whole. Like, for me, I see team defending as prevention. Prevention starts right at the top of the field with the press, and your last line of prevention is your centre-backs. And, one thing that we have seen a lot this season is that the midfields, defensively, they're not really giving that protection in front. And, it doesn't matter what type of team you are. If Bayern Munich didn't have Thiago, doing this offensive work rate, I mean, we saw in that game, he made that great last-ditch tackle against Cover. I mean, how many times have we seen that from George and Cover this season, making tackles like that? I mean, not really. I think that is like one of the main areas. And I think if Kante was fully fit and wasn't rushed back into games non-stop over the past few seasons, he would have made a big difference to how we defended, because I think even the stats show it. It's not like we can see many shots on target. It's not like we are peppering shots left, right, and centre. Our centre-backs, all of them, have good tackle success rates and, stuff like that. But I feel what's always cost us, because we are playing, on the ball now, on the front foot as well, is the fact that we don't have the that protection in front of the back four. I think now, Lampard, he knows what he's doing. He understood the issues that you could potentially have. I think that's why, for example, he normally used like a back three anytime he had to use Cover and George in midfield, because he knew that they weren't going to track runs in behind. They weren't going to be in the right positions. Kovacic, even though for me, he's a much better counter-pressing player than and all, you know, a pure defensive player, he's someone that's very easily will leave his position to close the ball down because he wants to be higher up there. And, you know, with Jorginho too, he doesn't really have the defensive capabilities to be someone that plays by himself or to even cover all that ground at the back. So I think just fixing that problem, which we did see glimpses of this season when we were using the 4-3-3 with guys like Gilmore playing in the team, Barkley, Mount, etc. How, for me, I thought the entire team's shape and defense, you know, and their collective defense was a lot stronger. So they were enough signs from last season I saw to tell me that, okay, with a fully fit Kante back, if we obviously fill out other positions in the team too, and of course, if we're a team that takes our goals first, because how many times have we been in positions last season where we weren't clinical enough? I think being clinical makes a massive difference when you're a team like us, because when you get that first goal, the game kind of goes in your favor. And as we've seen during the season, when that's happened, we do kind of use a mid-block, sit back a bit and look to pick teams off the counter-attack. So this is why I feel optimistic, you guys. I feel like I've seen so many like signs and patterns over the season to know that with the right investment, we can fix a lot of these issues. And I might sound a bit crazy, but even worse came to worse if we didn't sign any new centre-backs. Worst came to worst, I feel like, you know, if at least we sign a new left back that has pace, then I feel like we won't concede as many goals as we did last season, knowing that, you know, we're going to have a midfield three and just a better team.
Well, if I could, I really wanted to add to what NiiNii just said, because I have also noticed that we as a unit never press as a unit, you know, because we have certain slow players in different areas. Where, you know, especially at the left back position and with Giroud when he's playing, you see the pattern of Bayern Munich. I mean, regardless of the age of profile that of the guys that they have, they absolutely press the opposition to death. And I think this is exactly the style that Lampard would ideally want to employ. But because of the personnel that he has got, he cannot, because he doesn't get the pressing support from the left back, because Emerson is not that guy. Marcos Alonso has never been that guy. So the overall defensive structure, I think Chelsea is the team that is conceding the second least amount of shots. So we are not that horrific when you really think about it on the surface. All we need is a good left back and particularly good goalkeeper. And I think the changes would be quite significant. I think NiiNii has been spot on in that regard. So yeah, maybe just a couple of additions in the defensive phase. And also the player will have one more year of experience playing together. That is another factor that is significant in itself. So NiiNii has been again spot off, and I'm sorry, but I was a little starstruck to begin with, you know, as a guy who wasn't, because I was stammering a lot and, you know, I was sweating like that, like crazy. So I was initially starstruck, but now I'm into my groove, and Miz knows when I'm into my groove, I start talking a lot of sense.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, a vote of confidence from NiiNii itself. That's what I've been working towards from my life. Yeah.
I'll let you finish off today, Amir.
Yeah, you know, we saw a lot of academy graduates, right, last season. So any names to look out for this season who can possibly impress us? I think Lewis Bate is a personal favorite of mine, but any other names which Chelsea fans should keep a lookout for?
Yeah, we've got a good few ones. You know, Livramento, the right back. He seems like, who knows, maybe potentially some Carabao Cup minutes. That Levy Colwill, he looks like he's developing quite nicely too. We got this, what's his name? Harvey something. You know, this guy is kind of like an Asensio type of player. Very good left foot. He can absolutely blast the ball. Amazing shooting technique. You know, we've got a lot of good talents.
Kind of player? Did you say Asensio kind
it's
of
like
player?
he reminds me of like an Asensio type of player. But he's got exceptional shooting technique. And you know, I was actually even speaking to one of my friends, because obviously we've signed a lot of great young players for the academy, for the under 16s and stuff. You know, like the Edwin Anderson, the Swedish guy, Tvornian, Fiabema, and a lot of other players too. You know, I'm just hoping there's going to be a way to like watch them play games online, because I think right now that Chelsea TV kind of like collapsed and they stopped doing that. It's just like, how do you even get to see these talents? I'm hoping we can't have one of the best academies and fans can't see how they're performing. So I'm hoping something happens there.
Nice.
Excellent, mate. Well, I think that's about it for today's episode, boys. Biz, you want to just close things off quickly?
Yeah, thank you heaps, NiiNii, for coming on. Thank you for all the knowledge that you've, honestly, your knowledge about the academy players is mind-blowing, and I hope our viewers get to appreciate that a lot more and can reach out to you and ask you about that kind of stuff down the track. And whenever you're available, hopefully everyone can be far a lot more respectful in discussions. And guys,
that's a big ask from
Twitter. Well, that's my everyone. All the description about NiiNii's channel will be in this description. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Honestly, it's gonna be you in regards to the knowledge that he drops about match analysis and a whole heap of stuff. So, NiiNii, last words before you leave.
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys, thank you for having me on. It was a very good discussion as always. And, if you ever want to have me on again, obviously, just hit me up. You guys got my Twitter. So, yeah.
Brilliant, man. All right, guys, until next time. See ya.